I've got the baggage, I've made it through the airport, and now I'm trying to find Mama Lane. She spent the night at one of the airport hotels, and we're heading into Stockholm together. But I gotta find her first. In today's episode, not only do I manage to find my mother in a foreign country, but more importantly, we explore Stockholm, Sweden. Stockholm is the capital of Sweden with a population of 2.4 million people in its metro area. Geographically, the city rests along 14 islands on the coast of the Baltic Sea. There's a unique balance of energy in this lively city. On one hand, cozy, intimate moments involving Fika are just a coffee shop away, while in contrast, the bustling city roars by just outside your window. A trip to Stockholm will leave you feeling both peaceful and energized at the same time. Due to early flights and late hotel check-ins, we found ourselves with quite a bit of time to enjoy in the early morning. We're officially going around Stockholm. It's so cold and windy. We are starting with the Swedish Royal Palace. Swedish Royal Palace. That's actually a bit of a tongue twister. Hoping to kill some time there until stuff opens up. I came from Riga, which is an hour earlier, so not much is open right now, but oh my god, look. It's gorgeous where we are. The palace is nothing but stunning. Every room somehow is unique, but also matches every other room. From opulent crystal chandeliers to rich fabrics and wood, the palace is a national symbol to Sweden's history. We will have a more detailed vlog about just the palace, but in short, structures have been found at this site dating back to the 10th century. Royals have renovated, added on, and rebuilt the palace after a devastating fire in 1697. The current palace is in the 200 to 300-year-old range depending on what part you're in, and that's just mind-blowing at times. Strolling through the long halls gives you an appreciation for the legacy of the royal family, but also the impeccable craftsmanship that created this iconic complex. The Swedish Royal Palace is an absolute must-do when visiting Stockholm. After our stroll through the palace, it was time to explore Stockholm's Old Town, also known as Gamla Stan. We're wandering around Old Town. There's not much open right now. It's like 11:15 on a Sunday. Saturday. Oh wait, that shop's open. Let's go in. I just want something warm. Somewhere warm. And I gotta be honest, this is the main thing you do in Gamla Stan. Wander around shops and eat. It does have a bit of a reputation as a tourist trap with souvenir shops on every street, but it's still fun to just roam around and window shop. The buildings in Old Town, just like the name says, are old, so the entire place is really just gorgeous, very aesthetic, and a lovely time. Now for a bit of history on Gamla Stan. The name does directly translate to the Old Town, which dates back to the 13th century. When people think of Swedish culture and architecture, this is the area they picture. Orange, yellow, and red buildings line cobblestone alleys, and everything just feels cozy and lively at the same time. At one point in the mid-19th century to early 20th century, this area was actually considered a slum, and many historic buildings fell into disrepair. However, starting in the 1970s, the area became a tourist attraction with its many examples of medieval architecture. We spent a few hours roaming the shops and then stopped for lunch at a lovely cafe. What'd you get?
Right here. Potato puree.
And I got some form of Swedish potato dumpling with lingonberry. To say we enjoy Swedish food would be a bit of an understatement. Dear God, I don't know how much butter were in these potato dumplings, but they were pure starchy magic. The lingonberries perfectly complemented the rich buttery profile with a streak of tangy depth. After our delicious meal, we headed over to the most iconic part of Gamla Stan, Stoltorigats. I hope I said that correctly. When we first arrived, though, we didn't realize where we actually were. We don't really know how we ended up here, but we're in front of the Nobel Prize Museum in a famous square that we don't remember why it's famous. She thinks someone was massacred here. That was her guess. I'll use ye old Google Maps to figure out where we actually are. We figured out why it's famous. That's where those buildings are. They're like all over and iconic.
And let our stupidity be a lesson to you. Always look up historic sites you want to visit so you know why they are important. Stortorget is actually the oldest square in Stockholm. And indeed, it was the scene of a massacre, the Stockholm bloodbath. According to Wikipedia, in the November of 1520, for 3 days, the Danish-Swedish king Christian II beheaded and hanged 90 people in this square. So yes, Mama Lane was somewhat correct. There was a massacre in this square. It's also known for having Christmas markets and medieval architecture.
We're also about to hit up the Nobel Prize Museum. Okay, so I had a professor who won a Nobel Prize in chemistry, Thomas Check, is at CU Boulder. I had him for general chemistry. It's really cool. He teaches first-year students about chemistry. I'm gonna see if I can like pull him up here somehow. I don't know. Okay, we looked it up. It's in like the 80s that he won it in chemistry. I wonder if he's like a sub-winner. Check, no, Tom Check. That is my chemistry professor. He discovered catalytic properties of RNA. Work. Ta-da!
After finding my old professor in the Nobel Prize Museum, we determined it was time for the Swedish classic Fika. Fika essentially translates to a mindful coffee break with friends and cake in the afternoon. This practice is common in Sweden and is part of the nation's high standard of work-life balance. Small coffee shops can be found throughout Gamla Stan, offering all the classics for Fika.
It took us forever to find a spot in a cafe to get Fika, but we finally have the classic green Swedish cake. Oh. That's deteriorating. That's good. The marzipan's like marshmallow. That is sweetness overload too. Ready to try it? It's hard. It's super fancy, here's the Twinkie. Super fancy Twinkie. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it is so fluffy, it kind of does have Twinkie vibes. Okay, so we determined we like the princess cake without the marzipan. That marzipan is crazy sweet. The like sponge cake and raspberry jam and like filling actually aren't sweet at all. Like the jam has tangy kind of tart flavors and is a little sweet, but the marzipan is like eating a super marshmallow. So we have bastardized our cake, I'll admit, and you have to have it with coffee, otherwise it's literally just too sweet.
After taking in some Fika, it was time for us to stroll back to the delightful Hotel Riesen for the night.
I think we're just happy to get back to the hotel and actually be able to check into a clean room. We had to wait till 3 p.m. for the room to be ready, and we've just been wandering around Old Town. Eventually we were just like, it's just souvenir shops. It's just souvenir shops. But we've made it. She says we did see the Nobel Prize Museum, which that was, yeah, so that balances out us just shopping for hours and eating. We saw the Nobel Prize Museum.
And that was our first day in Stockholm. We had a wonderful time exploring the Royal Palace, roaming around Gamla Stan, and seen the Nobel Prize Museum. Plus, who could forget Fika? Be sure to like and subscribe to the Fruit Salad Social YouTube channel to see our upcoming vlogs, or check out the content we made while in Latvia.